Hey guys, Chris, Ironhead Garage. Well, there's old 55 Chevy doing a burnout. So, would you believe it? I'm back to working on this old GMC. Yeah, I've been piddling around with it. It's about 97 degrees outside, so too darn hot outside to be messing around with anything. But I did end up getting the gauges back together. Some of you guys might remember I restored them original gauges. Yeah, they came out pretty sweet. And I got that old Stewart Warner temperature gauge. I got that all wired up. And I got just a ground wire here. I got a ground underneath the dash. So I got the cluster all back together. I got the ashtray in and the radio. So it's getting the dash all back together, making her look like a truck again. I still got this old tape on my new steering wheel. Hopefully it all comes off and don't leave all that gooey stuff on it, but should be good. So this old thing's got a heater in it. Well, not yet, but I got to put it back in. I want to drive this truck, all year round, except when it's snowing or salt on the road, make it like a daily driver. So I want to put my heater and stuff back in it. So I ran that temperature gauge center wire. I got that going up through the firewall. And I'll fix all this spaghetti after I get all the sheet metal back on. But messing around with this heater box. Got this heater box all painted up. And the blower motor and the vent box. And that's the other deal. This old heater core in it here. They had this, it was cut off. So you can see right there, and it had this darn rubber hose on there, and this is all inside the box. And I thought, well, it might not leak. And I took this piece off and cleaned it with my wire wheel, and I noticed, you can see right there in the middle there's a pinhole. So man, that would have been suck to have this all together and have a leak coming out of that heater box in the cab. So I had some plumbing parts. So I got my flux out, put a bunch of flux on there, and soldered some elbows on there. And I got this piece here off of an old 55 Chevy heater box, or heater core. I cut that off, and it was all dented to hell. And I put a deep well socket inside there and dollied it all round again. So yeah, I tested it. It holds pressure. So now I just got to get her all laced in there. It's been a while since I took this all apart. So I just got to figure it out. How it all goes back together. Pretty simple. I got all the screws for it. So if you guys remember, on my 55 Chevy, my buddy Aussie Dave, we call him Aussie Dave. He's from Australia. He came over and soldered aluminum heater core to copper piping. So it would go... and clear my headers when it came out of my firewall. We used the solder called all flux, and it worked killer. You could solder aluminum to copper. So that's pretty cool, Dave. If you're watching, hey buddy, check it out. I did some soldering on a heater core. We miss you. I think he's over in Australia on the island still. But anyway, we miss you, Dave. Me and my buddy Jim used to be my dirt biking buddy. Me, Jim, and Dave. Yep, we were like the three amigos on dirt bikes. So, I did get some shock mounts for this old girl. Let's see, for the old Model A. And I got another shock here. I got these from my, whoop, there went the bolts. Got these from my buddy Stacy. These came off of his little Roadster. If you guys remember where this Model A was, and he had that black and white checker firewall, the Roadster. And he had that little hot rod pickup he was building. He gave me these shocks off of that car. He put nice chrome ones on it. And these are still good. These compressed down to like, I think 8.5 to 12, I believe it was. But I got these mounts here from Speedway. I'll mount up on the bottom of my rear end. And I got one mounted here. And I got the shock bolt there. It keeps it away from the bracket. So I believe I just got to make a bracket up off the frame to bolt these two, or cut this and weld it right to the frame. But yeah, that'll be cool. So she'll have some shocks on her. On the back of the old Model A, she kind of hits hard once in a while. But I'll probably have to get this up on some jack stands and figure out them upper shock mounts. And then one day I got to figure out to put some shocks on the front of this thing, get some brackets, and I don't think I want headlight brackets and shock mount brackets. I think maybe the shock mount brackets with the headlight mount brackets on the top, so you ain't got two style of different brackets on there. I'm not sure, but we'll figure that out. So we'll get that heater box all put back together, and then get it in this old truck. I'm gonna start doing some more on her. I put my gas pedal back in, bolt down the transmission tunnel. The linkage is still unhooked. But yeah, the heater blower motor worked and stuff when I took it apart, so it should work again. Need to bolt down this seat still. I got all the weather stripping and new glass for this old girl. I got cab corners. Not sure if we'll do the cab corners right away. Kind of a winter project there though, but yeah, I want to drive this old truck. Well, we'll see how far I get before the snow flies. I actually did flush that heater core out with the high pressure nozzle on the garden hose. And the radiator, I took it outside and flushed it out. It was about 95 degrees, so it was a good time to get that radiator all flushed out. I took about an hour poking it both back and forth each way from the bottom and the upper, and laying it different directions. Not too much stuff came out, but some stuff did. So I'm gonna get this heater core box back together, see if I can figure out how to install it. Sure, I can figure it out. I got the rubber band that goes around here. I think it was kind of ripped. Yeah, it's got a little hole in it. I might have an old bicycle inner tube that'll work good. That goes around there and seals it to the heater core box. But anyway, we'll get on that. There's the old training cooler for it. Lots to do on this old girl. Alright, well, let me get that thing back together. See if I can get it up underneath that dash. Alright, well, I pulled that seat out to make it a little bit easier, but got my heater box all assembled back in there. Got the blower motor in there. Got it all wired up. I got the gauges all soldered and wired up. Got a glove box liner in here now. About that new. So yeah, pretty cool. Just coming along. Well, after I did all that, I put the old truck up on jack stands. And I blew the front end apart. Yep. Tore it all apart. Got the A-arms off. Both sides. Upper and lower control arms. She is stripped down now. She ain't gonna roll anywhere soon. So, guys, remember, I had a bad spindle on this driver's side. The bearing had spun and ruined the spindle. And I got those spindles from the parts car. There's the driver's one. And here's the good passenger one. I got it all cleaned up. Luckily, this one was all good. I was sweating it there for a minute, but yeah, I got her all cleaned up. So I'll just have to get new bearings. Probably backing plates. I got 4 backing plates to choose from. I need rotors. This rotor's toast. The brake shoe was froze to the back side of it. And there's the old rotor. So I'll have to get new calipers and rotors, and maybe backing plates and wheel bearings. But I did get a kit with all the new bushings and ball joints, and tie rod ends, and upper control arm bushings, lower control arm bushings, sway bar bushings, all the goods. So I went and got this tool here from AutoZone to take the lower ball joints off because they're pressed in, and it's pretty darn simple. You can use it to install them too. but it's the rent program. Well, you kind of rent it, you pay for it, and then you use it. You got 90 days, and if you return it with all the pieces, you get your money back. 150 bucks, but I would have just bought it, but that's 150 bucks, and you're only going to use it a couple times. So it's pretty simple to use. You just grab this guy here, put that guy on there, and you got different size sleeves in the kit. You put that one that fits on your lower A arm there, and then this has grooves for different sleeves. Put that guy on there, and put that guy on so, like so, and tighten her up, and ball joint comes flinging out of there. I took that one off already on that control arm. This ball joint here is pretty loose, and they're pretty old. They're original, so the tops are riveted in. Here's the upper control arms, so you got to drill these rivets out, and then the new ball joints, they bolt in. So I got to get a tool to remove the bushings on the upper control arms. A lot of guys will just heat these with a torch and then pop the rubber out and then saw that inner sleeve without cutting the control arm. But if you get the right tool, they come right on out, and you can press them back in. The tool is just like a ball joint remover tool, but instead of being closed here on the end, it's open. It's a fork. If this was mine, I could probably just cut this and use this tool, but I got to get the lower bushings out too, so I got to press them out. Got the springs. I use my my spring compressor here and compressed the springs and took them out without dying. So that was good. Always sketchy messing around with those springs. And there's the old spindle. Spin you around. This is the one that was bad. It's pretty loose on there. That bearing had spun on the outside of the spindle, and this rotor has a big chunk out of it, and the bearing's bad. So this is pretty much ready for the dump here. But I'm gonna get this other ball joint out. Maybe I'll set the camera up and show you how easy this guy is to take out. All right, back on. All right, I got her all rigged up on there. See how that collar goes on the A-arm, and that piece adapter goes in there, and this adapter, the ball joint rod, goes through this center. Got a little leak on my air hose, so making a little bit of hissing noise. We got her all forward. See if I can do this with one hand. Not sure where my tripod went, but give her a couple whaps. Wash that ball joint. Pop through. There she went. Give her some reverse. Take the sleeve off. One ball joint. Easy as pie. Like I said before, even a kid can do this kind of stuff. Can't be afraid of it. But hissing thing. So I'll probably get these all cleaned up before I put the new ones in, but I got to get them upper bushings out of there and get them clean and go on to some more. All right, guys, piece of cake. Boy, I got to put her back together now. All right. Well, been working on these A-arms some more. I did drill the tops of the rivets out of the ball joints and use my air chisel to pop the rest of the rivets out. So I got those both out. The upper control arms. I did get the upper control arm bushings out of that one. I still got them in this one here, but there's the ball joint tool that you guys saw. So I got another tool for control arm bushings, and these will do forward, rear rear control arm bushings. Chrysler, I think there's another one, Chevy. But comes with all these other pieces besides the ball joint one. And I did match up my my new control arm bushings. They are the right ones, so that's cool. I actually did get new bump stops for the upper control arms. I got to order bottom ones because they were rotten. But here's the piece here. You put that guy this way, and you can see that this C-clamp is open, so it goes on there. And you put this little guy, this open piece, I don't know why it needs to be open, but on there, put it inside there, the shaft, and zap it, and it'll push that bushing out of there. Then you're able to get this rod out, this control arm rod, or whatever the hell you call it. But then you can slide that out, push it that way, and then it will come out, and then do the same thing, turn that tool around, and pop this guy out. So yep, so I gotta do a lot of cleaning. Gotta clean all these A-arms up, gotta clean them springs up. I did get the steering arm off of there. So, got a hell of a mess going. Metal shavings all over again and a bunch of crud, but I'm getting it. So, I'm going to zip these bushings out and get these A-arms cleaned up and probably get them new ones pushed in. You can see here, these old ones, they're pretty shot. And actually, here's the upper control arm bushing. There's the other one there. And that's what they're supposed to look like. So they're pretty darn flat, pretty darn toast. So it's good to replace all this stuff. It's a hell of a job to get all these out, but it's gonna be worth it in the end when she's riding smooth down the road. All right, I'm back on all this stuff. All right, well, back out in the shop, done a little bit. Got the old frame all painted up, sanded down and painted both sides. So that's looking slick. Hey, check it out. Got my A-arms painted. Got the control arm shafts painted. I got my spindles painted. Got brand new calipers. Those came out sweet. So I got to order brake lines. I got brake pads coming. I got to order lower rear bump stops still. But yeah, I've been hard at it. Man, it was a lot of work to get these guys all cleaned up and sprayed that satin black like the frame. So it should match pretty good. Still got to clean them coils over there. That's going to take a little bit of time, but I got new rotors. And actually these are Ford lug pattern. If you guys didn't know, I had adapters on them front wheels before because them killer wheels I got are Ford. Yep, so these rotors here are, I believe they're 73 to 79 or 73 to 79 GM rotors for Camaro Firebird 11-inch rotors, but they're re-drilled with 1/2-inch studs for Ford, so it's 4.5, and they're custom made, so that's killer. So now I can ditch my adapters on the front, so that's going to be killer. So I got all these bushings in that box for the front end. I got to start pressing in bushings and put in my ball joints. Try not to scratch stuff up. I'm sure I will. That's why I just spray painted this stuff, and I could touch it up in the end. I got new wheel bearings coming too. Whole bunch of goodies. But man, I'll tell you what, it's a lot of work cleaning all this stuff up and making it look nice, but sure gonna be worth it. So we'll get back on it and see how far I get. Here we go again. Alright, well, I got the upper control arms all rebuilt. Got the new ball joints in them. I might end up replacing these washers. They kind of concave when you tighten them down. They're only little 1/4 inch bolts, but I might buy some grade 8 washers. These are grade 8. I got the bump stops in there. These are hard to get in there. Just put a little bit of axle grease on there and get some good vice grips and pull them up through. I got the bushings all in there. I sprayed them black because they're just raw. I don't want them to rust up. They just come like this with no paint on them. They're just raw, so they'll rust if you don't squirt a little paint on them. So, time to move on to them lower control arms. Get them rebuilt. Alright. Lots of fun going on here. Well, I went ahead and put the bushings in the lower control arms. Got them installed. I got the upper control arms installed on there. I just got them just hand tight. But I think I'm going to go down to the hardware store and get some better washers for these ball joints. I did get my springs painted up. Thanks Stacy. I went over to my buddy Stacy's and sandblasted them. And came home and sanding on them a little bit more where I didn't get the sandblaster to take care of it, and painted them up with some of that satin black. So those came out nice. I got my spindle mocked up on this side. And then I measured the spring pocket from the top of the frame up inside there to the bottom of the A-arm. And I figured out I got to compress those springs 11 inches. So I got my spring compressor there. So I'll compress them down the 11 inches and then put them in there. And if you guys ever seen this this mule tape, one strand of this, 1,000 pounds. So I'll wrap this around the spring after I get it compressed, and then I put it in there, because it's like a loaded hand grenade, man, messing with them springs. So if something fails with that spring compressor, you never know that mule tape, I'll double it up on them springs and be able to cut it loose once I get it in there and get the ball joints tightened up. I got my backing plates hammered flat again because they were bent up from sitting on the ground with no wheels on these. This subframe had bent the bottom. I was going to buy new ones, but I got these looking pretty good. I'm just going to wire wheel these up and squirt some paint on them. I did get my my new asbestos brake pads, so I got those. I got the new lug nuts, the 1/2 inch for the 1/2 inch studs on my new rotors, and they have the lock on them and they come with a socket, so that's cool. I did get the lower control arm bump stops, the Moog, so those are cool to have. So yeah, now I can take this spindle back off, and I want to replace these washers with some gold grade 8 ones. But I'm getting it. Lots to do. This is taking me quite a while to do all this, but I'm getting it though. So I'll try to get them springs compressed and get them in these A-arms. Alright. Alright, well I went down and replaced all them washers with grade 8 washers on the driver's side and passenger side. So I did get one of them springs in there. Man, what a pain. But I got the spindle all torqued down. 65 pounds on the bottom ball joint and 50 pounds on the top. So she's nice and tight. Almost too tight, but she'll break in. So I was using this spring compressor here. Man. So I had the spring down here on the ground, and I had this locked in there, and I was starting to compress it, and I had it down to about 13 inches. And I was using my rattle gun. Maybe I shouldn't have been using my rattle gun, but I believe the threads were a little gallied up on here, and it spun this sumbitch, and that spring popped, and the rattle wrench went flying back, and the spring hit my my tire there. Man, if I was holding that thing in my hand, you know, putting it inside here and that thing unloaded, who knows what could have happened. Probably would have been seeing stars. But so I went down and I rented this one here from AutoZone. It comes with this fork here, but I ain't gonna use that. So what I did was take the shaft. This is the shaft here. I put some grease on here. You can see that it's all gallied up too from being used as a rental tool. So I put that down through the shock bolt hole. And then I get my spring in there, push this control arm down, and then weasel this, how's it go, goes like this. Weasel that in there and then compress that spring. And then you can use a bar and start to get the thread in there. And then get the floor jack underneath it, give it a little bit of tension underneath the control arm, and tighten that spring compressor up a little more, and then jack it up a little more and bar that bottom of that spring in there. It's always sketchy doing these springs, but glad I didn't get hurt using that damn thing. So I'm gonna battle this other spring in there and see how far I get. Yeah, I like those grade 8 washers here a lot better. They didn't mushroom out like them little cheap grade 5 ones. But yeah, and I did use my mill tape once I got it in there and compressed. I wrapped it around the frame and through the coils a few times and around the frame here, just in case it wanted to pop out, it wouldn't fly out and hit you in the forehead or something. But yeah, there's lots of videos on YouTube of doing these springs, and some guys, man, it's pretty sketchy watching them. You can get hurt pretty bad. Get your jaw taken off your skull. You don't want that to happen. So if you're ever doing these, take your time. Maybe watch some videos, have a buddy, or maybe you've done them before. But they sure can hurt you. But I ain't gonna let them hurt me. Alright, I'm back on it. Alright guys, well, I figured I'd bring you back and show you my setup. So I got the ratchet on the spring compressor on there. Got some grease in that washer so don't bind up. And I got it just on there, lowest I can get it. I wanted full threads in the center of that piece. And I got a pair of vice grips on the spring, because last time I was spinning it, that ratchet up there, and this spun, and then the spring went bonk. So you got to watch out. So I'll just compress this up, and then I got the floor jack underneath the A-arm, and once I get the spring compressed there, some tension off of it, I can use this and then pop it into that saddle in there. And they do have an index spot there where the butt of the spring goes right there. So get it close to there. So I'm gonna compress this spring and get that A-arm up in there and get that spindle on. Alright, wish me luck. The old Model A. So well, I got the springs in both sides, and I did some touch-up paint with the black. Got it all looking good again. Just gotta bend the old cotter keys over. Ball joints are all torqued down. So now I got good spindles on the driver's side and the passenger side. So I still got a lot to do. I gotta get some brake cleaner, clean them rotors up. I want to paint them black so they don't rust. I'm not sure if I'm gonna paint them calipers. They got a good paint coating on them, but I'm not sure if they'll rust or not. I don't want these guys to rust. So I got to get shocks, and I got to get some rubber brake lines, brake hoses to come off of them calipers. And then I can set this thing on the ground, grease the wheel bearings. Yeah, man, it's been taking me a long time doing this. I've been working a lot. So a lot of work on this guy too. So video is getting super long. I think next time maybe I'll have the brakes all on, the rotors, and the wheels back on, to get some shocks, and then put this thing back down on the ground. It's been a while. It's been setting up on the old jack stands. Got to drive that old Model A some more too. So I'll probably end the video here. Let you guys check it out. I ain't made a video in a while. I just been working on this damn thing and sanding away on all them A-arms and frame and painting everything up. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but she's coming out pretty sweet. So lots more to do on her. So I appreciate all you guys watching. We'll get this old GMC going. Been enjoying the 55 Chevy out and about and cruising to the shows and hanging out with my buddies. So that's cool. So we'll see you guys next time. Appreciate you. Take it easy.